Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Friday, the 31st of October. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi leads Run for Unity on Sardar Patel's birthday. Jamaat opposes Nizami's death sentence, calls a 72-hour shutdown in Bangladesh. And special court frames charges against former Telecom Minister Raja in 2G scam. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi flagged off the Run for Unity marathon in capital New Delhi on Friday. The event was organised as part of the birth anniversary celebrations of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the first Interior Minister of India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with his cabinet colleagues, paid floral tribute to Vallabhbhai Patel on the occasion of his 139th birth anniversary. He later flagged off the Run for Unity, which saw thousands turning up. Addressing the participants, Prime Minister Modi said the contribution of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, would have been incomplete without Patel's efforts to unite India.
जब महात्मा गांधी को देखते हैं तो लगता है कि सरदार साहब के बिना गांधी भी अधूरे लगते हैं। ये एक अटूट नाता था, ये अटूट जोड़ी थी।
As a tribute to Patel, who was popularly known as the Iron Man of India, the day is also observed as the National Unity Day. Patel was instrumental in the integration of around 500 princely states into the Indian Union during independence in 1947. Prime Minister Modi urged the people of the country to maintain the ideology of Patel and stay united.
और युवा पीढ़ी आज इस राष्ट्रीय एकता दिवस पर पूरे हिंदुस्तान में रन फॉर यूनिटी के लिए दौड़ रही है। मैं समझता हूं यह हमारा प्रयास एकता के मंत्र को निरंतर जगाए रखना चाहिए।
Similar marathons were organized in various parts of the country too. Federal Interior Minister Rajnath Singh flagged off the run in southern Hyderabad. In western Nagpur, thousands of residents also took the unity oath and participated in the walk. In western Gujarat, the home state of Patel, the marathon was inaugurated by Provincial Chief Minister Anandiben Patel. Prime Minister Modi had throughout his election campaign earlier this year lauded the contributions of Patel from time and again. The Gujarat government is also making a 597 feet tall statue of Patel in Vadodara. Once completed, it will be the tallest of its kind in the world, overtaking the Statue of Liberty and Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro.
Bangladesh remained in the grip of fear on Friday after the Jamaat-e-Islami called for a nationwide shutdown. The Islamist party is protesting against the death sentence awarded to its chief for involvement in war crimes during the country's 1971 liberation war.
Streets of capital Dhaka bore a deserted look for the second day on Friday as vehicles kept off the road and commercial establishments remained shut due to the fear of violence by Jamaat activists. The largest religious party of Bangladesh had called for a 72-hour shutdown across the country from Thursday after the International War Crimes Tribunal or ICT convicted its chief Motiur Rahman Nizami to death. The former cabinet minister was on Wednesday found guilty of 16 charges including genocide, rape, arson, attack on minorities and inciting violence in 1971 when his party tried to suppress the Bangladesh Liberation War. Amid the shutdown, the Bangladesh civil society and youth activists who welcomed the ICT judgment rallied in the capital seeking speedy implementation of the verdict.
আমরা ঢাকা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় থেকে গতকাল নিজামীর রায় ফাঁসির রায় হওয়ার পর আমরা খুশি হয়ে শুনে আনন্দ মিছিল বের করেছিলাম। শাহবাগে এসে শাহবাগ প্রাঙ্গণ ঘুরে গিয়েছিলাম। আমরা অতি দ্রুত ফাঁসির রায় কার্যকর দেখতে চাই। আর এই ফাঁসির রায় নিয়ে কোনো হরতাল আমরা দেশে মানি না। গাড়ির চাকা প্রতিনিয়ত ঘুরবে, দোকানপাট খুলবে, কোনো হরতাল আমরা মানি না।
The Jamaat, which opposed the birth of Bangladesh in 1971, had unleashed large-scale of violence across the country along with the Pakistan Army. The 9-month-long civil war saw some 3 million people killed and 200,000 women raped before Bangladesh bought independence from Pakistan. The ICT was formed by the Awami League government in 2010 to try the local collaborators of the Pakistan Army during the bloody conflict. Many top leaders of the Jamaat have been convicted or are facing trial in the ICT for their involvement in war crimes.
An Indian court on Friday framed charges against former Federal Telecom Minister Raja and 18 others in the multi-million-dollar 2G spectrum scam. The hearing in the case will begin next month.
The special court ordered framing charges of money laundering against Raja, Dravid Munnetra Kazhagam or DMK Supremo Karunanidhi's wife Dayalu Ammal, his daughter and former lawmaker Kanimoy along with 7 others. The court has also sought framing charges against 9 firms for their involvement in the case. The trial in the case is set to begin on November 11th.
देखिए, अदालत ने अपने आदेश को घोषित किया आज कि उन्होंने मुलजिम के खिलाफ चार्ज फ्रेम करने की बात तय की है और 11 नवंबर से इस मामले में फरियादी को बुलाकर गवाही का सिलसिला शुरू होगा। जो आदेश अदालत ने दिया है वो 216 सफ़ों का है, जिसे पढ़ने की आवश्यकता है। अभी हमारे हाथ में वो ऑर्डर आएगा, हम पढ़ेंगे, उसके बाद इस पर टिप्पणी कर सकते हैं।
The case is related undercharging of second-generation mobile spectrums during the first United Progressive Alliance or UPA government in 2008. According to the Central Bureau of Investigation, Raja, who was the then minister, had bent several rules in favor of some companies. The alleged kickbacks were used to fund Kalegna TV, owned by the DMK. Raja, who was arrested in February 2011, was granted bail in May 2012. The state auditor had estimated that the exchequer may have lost up to $39 billion in revenue due to the flawed license and spectrum allocation process. The scam was one of the biggest during the first UPA, which continued to haunt the UPA-2, which suffered a humiliating defeat in the general elections held earlier this year.
Rescue teams continue to work against time to search for survivors in the massive landslide that struck southern Sri Lanka this week. Hundreds continue to remain unaccounted for even on the third day on Friday in one of the biggest natural calamity that hit the island nation.
Even as hopes of finding survivors in the devastating landslide continues to dwindle, aggrieved families of those missing still wait for news about their loved ones. But the bad weather and loose terrain is making the rescue efforts difficult. Sri Lankan government has deployed hundreds of army personnel and heavy machinery to look for survivors in the mud rubble that buried the village of Haldumulla, some 120 miles from capital Colombo, on Wednesday. Lankan Disaster Management Minister Mahinda Amaravira had on Thursday said the death toll might well cross 100. Villagers meanwhile continue to search for their loved ones.
අපි පවුල මේ වැඩ පොළේ ඉඳලා ආවා ඊයේ වයි පවුල ගියා දැන් බෙදනවත්තට අනිත් කට්ටිය ඕක මේ ඉන්නවා අපි බේන අපි දුව තමයි එච්චර වෙලාවට එබේ අර කෝවිලේ ඉඳලා උඩලයම අත්වෙනි ලයම අටවෙනි ලයම නවවෙනි ලයම 10වෙනි ලයම 11වෙනි 12 සම්පූර්ණ මේවරයි.
Some 150 houses, mostly of the Tamil minority, is believed to be buried under the heap of clay. The island nation has been experiencing incessant monsoon rains across the country for the past few weeks.
Warren Anderson, former CEO of the Union Carbide Corporation, passed away on September 29, reports said on Friday. Anderson, who died at the age of 92 at a nursing home in Florida, was wanted in India in connection with the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy. Anderson, while serving the top job, grappled with the ravages of a poisonous gas leak at the company's plant in India's central Bhopal that killed thousands in one of the most lethal industrial accidents in human history. Anderson, who had been living in anonymity after retirement, was officially labelled as a fugitive after the Indian government's attempts to extradite him failed. The dreadful accident happened when a chemical reaction in the insecticides-making plant caused a leak of toxic gases that swept through the surrounding community. According to government records, at least 3,787 were confirmed dead and 500,000 people were injured. But actual figures are much higher, unofficial reports claim. Despite the Pakistani authorities assuring us speeding up the rehabilitation work of the internally displaced persons or IDPs in Waziristan, there is a fresh wave of exodus from the tribal areas. This comes as the Pakistan Army continues to intensify its operation in Khyber Tribal Agency.
Pakistani army jets and tanks continued to pound areas of Khyber on Friday. More than 40 militants have been killed and hundreds have been arrested from the area so far, the army has claimed. The operation Zarb-e-Azb, which shifted its focus to Khyber in the past few weeks, has however forced hundreds of families from their homes. Many said it was getting increasingly difficult to stay at homes as the operation is continuing.
तकलीफ बहुत ज़्यादा है। रास्ते तकरीबन 6-7 किलोमीटर के रास्ते जो ये ख़वातीन पैदल आते जाते हैं और कोई कन्वेंस नहीं है, गाड़ियाँ वगैरह नहीं है, तो हुकूमत को चाहिए कि कर्फ्यू में थोड़ा नरमी कर ले, स्कूल खोल ले और सौदा सल्फ लेने के लिए कुछ रिलीफ दे रहे।
The fresh exodus comes even as Pakistani authorities claim that nearly half of the displaced tribesmen have already returned to their villages. Pakistan Foreign Ministry spokesperson Tasneem Aslam had on Thursday said of the 67,120 tribesmen who fled to neighbouring Afghanistan, nearly 38,000 have already come back. The IDPs, who are living in temporary shelters in cities like Peshawar and Bannu, had recently threatened to organise protests in Islamabad if they are not rehabilitated before winters.
Bar owners in Kerala are opposing the High Court's decision to ban alcohol in the southern Indian state. The court had upheld the provincial government's liquor prohibition policy and paved the way for the closure of over 700 bars. A report.
The Kerala High Court's order to shut down more than 700 bars in the state has come as a major boost for the provincial government. The local administration wants to make the state an alcohol-free zone within the next 10 years. The court ruling was passed after bar owners challenged the state government's no liquor policy to shut down bars attached to all hotels below the 5-star category. The court ruling has, however, allowed 4-star and heritage bar hotels to remain open. This has angered bar owners who feel the move is discriminatory.
So many, there are 5-star hotels functioning, clubs are functioning, beer and wine parlor is functioning, and also even one-day permit to consume liquor permit also is available. And we people who have invested so much money in 3-star, 4-star and 2-star hotels, we are not at all given justice from the part of the government.
The ruling is likely to have far-reaching implications for a state which earns around 20% of its revenue through the sale of liquor. Apart from loss of revenue to the bar owners and jobs of those employed in the sector, the other big casualty could be the tourism sector. But those in favour of the ruling say this liquor ban has come at a right time. They say the state has not done enough to clamp down on youth alcoholism and crimes committed under the influence of alcohol.
That is very consoling to the government, people of Kerala, especially the women community, the children, and who are the victims of the families of alcoholism.
While the court's order has come as a shot in the arm for the Kerala government committed towards tackling the rising levels of alcoholism in the state, it is however not clear how the government plans to recover lost earnings from liquor sales. Also, with the bar owners now determined to take their case to the Supreme Court, the state administration's plan could possibly hit another roadblock. Avneet Arora for South Asia Newsline in New Delhi.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi leads Run for Unity on Sardar Patel's birthday. Jamaat opposes Nizami's death sentence, calls a 72-hour shutdown in Bangladesh. And special court frames charges against former Telecom Minister Raja in 2G scam. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time next week. Have a great weekend and good night.